Welcome everyone to our continuing series, Love in the Parsha. And welcome back, Rachel.
Thank
The
you.
title of today's talk on Parshat Vayetze is A Rebel by the Well. And Rachel, in many ways, the love story between Yaakov and Rachel, Jacob and Rachel, is kind of the quintessential husband and wife love story in Tanakh. But what do you make about the fact that their first date, so to speak, their setup was by a well?
So there's a lot of interpretations commentators offer. People point out, for example, that a well is a symbol of fertility. They point out that there's a certain, what Robert Alter calls type scene, that betrothals happen by wells, probably because it is a fertility symbol, probably because it's a public place where people meet also in the ancient world. But I think that in this particular meeting between Yaakov and Rachel, we also see another important, almost hidden narrative taking place by that well. Namely, we see Yaakov in a subtle way subverting social norms. And this is important. Imagine the scene. There's a well. There's all these shepherds with their flocks sitting around the well. Yaakov comes and says, if you need water for your flocks, why are you not giving them water? And they say, look, there's this rock. It's very heavy. We have to wait for all the shepherds to come to take it off the well together. Now, why would they use a very heavy rock to cover a well? This is not a normal idea. Why would they do that? So Rabbi Elchanan Samet has this beautiful, insightful idea that maybe they did it on purpose. Maybe by having such a heavy rock on the well, they ensured that no one shepherd could then go and take all the water for himself. They ensured that all the shepherds have to be present in order to remove the rock, and then they'll be accountable to one another when they use this communal resource. But then what does Yaakov do when he comes and sees this normative, orderly reality? He sees this young girl, Rachel, coming, and he's so inspired by this overflowing emotion that fills him that he removes the rock all by himself, completely shattering the expectations and the norms and the social contract that were in place, gives water to Rachel's flock, kisses her, and cries. And the Midrash asks, why does he cry after kissing her? And interestingly, all the answers that the Midrash gives, again, emphasize the fact that Yaakov, something in his response, something in this love that moves him in this scene, makes him act beyond the bounds of normative, how people are supposed to meet and contract marriage. One option is that when he kissed her, he saw that she's not going to be married with him. In other words, he saw that she's not going to be in his family plot, that somehow she's not going to fit into that normal way of managing life and death. Another interpretation is that he cried because he felt bad that he doesn't have money to bring or gifts or anything to bring when he comes to marry a wife as a normal bridegroom would. Another interpretation is that he saw how the other shepherds are looking at him and saying, who is this licentious man? He's behaving in this inappropriate way, and it's painful for him to see himself through his eyes. No matter which interpretation you choose, the whole scene, in a sense, brings to life the fact that love, the same power, the same force that is in the foundation of order in society, it creates the family structure, it creates continuity, can also be a subversive, upending force that moves people to act in ways that break the bounds and change the status quo.
That's such an interesting idea, that love is subversive. The one emotion that you think of that brings people together is actually something that's subversive. It's also interesting that subversive nature of love doesn't come up in the story of Isaac and Rebekah. Somehow it comes up here in the story of Jacob and Rachel. And the question is, and maybe that's just Jacob's personality, that we need something to be subversive there. But what do you make of that? Why is it in this week's parasha specifically that the subversive nature of love plays such an important role?
If you look at Yaakov's life story, it's pretty clear that his whole raison d'etre, or in a sense, modus operandi in life, is rejecting the status quo. He's born as the second son. He will fight to become the one who holds the right of the firstborn. He will fight to get the blessings of the firstborn. He is told by society, no, you can't have Rachel because she's the younger daughter. You have to have Leah. He will continue working in order to also have Rachel. He is told by Lavan, now I will pay you like this and keep you basically in my household. He finds way to manipulate the situation to be paid fairly and leaves when he chooses to leave. And I think that this trait of Yaakov is extremely important to the broader narrative that we're watching unfold in this book, in the book of Genesis, because this is a book that leads us to the creation of a nation. And this nation is supposed to carry a covenant and a mission that's unusual, that requires a healthy dose of iconoclasm, in a sense, of being able to break away from what's expected, from what the other empires and the other religions of the area are doing. And Yaakov, who will become Israel, the founding father of this nation, has to lay the foundation of this iconoclasm so that we will have it in our blood. So where is it more appropriate to see it acting out than when he finds the woman he loves and finds through that love all the more inspiration and strength and dedication to break away from the mold that's expected from him.
That's such an interesting explanation, kind of looking at the arc of the history in Bereshit and the history, kind of the broader history. You like talking about the fact that it's important to zoom out sometimes. And here you have a wonderful balance of zooming in to that scene at the well, but at the same time being able to zoom out and to see the significance of that scene. Wonderful explanation in terms of understanding the role of love in this week's parasha. We want to thank you for joining us, and we want to invite you to join us again next week as we look at love in Parshat Vayishlach.